Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. My name is Wendy Parrish. I lead the sales and marketing team at Switcher. Welcome to our fifth and final interview of Switcher's Worship Week. We hope you've enjoyed the week. We certainly have. If you've missed any of the previous interviews, you can find the recordings on our Switcher Studio Facebook page. And we'll also be rolling them out on our YouTube channel over the next few weeks. We are so excited for our guest today, Kawan Jaramillo. She is a woman of very many talents and interests, but today she'll be talking to us about her experience at Saturation Ministries Global, where she is creative director and executive assistant to the pastor. And before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that we will be monitoring the comments in the feed. So please feel free to add any questions for Kawan in the comments, and we will be addressing those either at the end or during the stream if it's very applicable to the current topic. Welcome, Kawan. It's so good to see you.
Hello. Thanks for having me. So excited.
We're so happy you're here. I want to just jump right into the questions. Okay. COVID hit you all at a very interesting time for your church. Can you tell me a little bit about Saturation Ministries Global, where you all are as a church, and why you decided to start live streaming?
Awesome. Well, Saturation Global, we had our first service October 2019. So we were only holding Wednesday Bible studies. And then the first week of March, we did kind of a pre-Sunday service just for the internal, just for the members. And then we were going to kind of share with everyone the second Monday. COVID hit after our first live service. It was crazy. So we had this building. We were just figuring out Switcher. I had been using Switcher prior to the Sunday services, but once COVID hit, we really were just like, what? So we went from having a location, we were in a hotel, to having to move to one of the members' homes, and we kind of moved things around. But if it wasn't for Switcher, I just don't know what we would have done in terms of being able to move the service and adapt as well as we were able to.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad that worked out. So it sounds like you all do your live streaming from lots of different locations, or how do you do your live streaming now that, COVID's been happening for a little while?
Yes, so we call it the Studio Sanctuary, and it's a room we have dedicated at one of our members' homes. We just are so grateful for them extending their home to us. So we have that location. I also stream our Wednesday Bible studies from a different location. And then at one point, we were able to go back to the hotel that we were renting. And then another wave of COVID happened, and we had to go back to the Studio Sanctuary. So that's where we are right now. We live stream, and then we also pre-record from another location.
So I think you're seeing below some of the examples of the finished product, and it just great, really, really nice job, Kawan. It looks really professional and
thank you.
Great. So it sounds like you have to move your setup around pretty frequently, and we all know that internet is so important. So can you talk a little bit about how you keep a very mobile studio and how you address some of the potential internet issues that might come up?
Yes. So when possible, we try to stream. I stream from a iPad Pro, and I also have a regular MacBook Pro. So you don't necessarily need a Pro, but that's what I have. And so we have an adapter that allows me to plug into my USB-C, and I can plug in internet. a cable directly to, so I have that solid stream when possible. When I'm not able to do that, we've actually had really successful services just using the internet that comes with my MacBook Pro. I have cellular service. And so a few services we actually ran from the hotel, we use that for our internet. And like I said, it's been successful. It's kind of knowing what your bandwidth can handle or not handle and kind of moving with your service from there.
Okay, no, that sounds great. Have you had any internet challenges midstream that you've had to react to?
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's like one of the things that I really wish I would have had someone say, "Hey, this is what you do." There is an amazing Facebook group. And so a lot of questions can be answered there, but a lot of it is really just trial and error. So we did discover that a solid stream, if you can get a solid internet connection, that's definitely best. We did have to, I am a total tech girl, so I wanted everything to run at 4K right away. I don't care if it crashes, and you just can't do that. So you have to kind of gradually move yourself up. So we did lower the bandwidth a couple of steps so that we would get a solid stream. And then with our devices, we made tweaks to the devices, and Switcher has some amazing options to be able to adjust the camera and the lighting. So with those tweaks, along with the stream, we were able to get some great streams as a result.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of them on the church's Facebook page. You all have some really great product. As a creative director, nice work, Kawan.
Thank you. I have a whole team. It's not just me. There's a whole team of people that put this together. So,
well, that's great. So you all are a really new church, and so we had talked previously about the need to find affordable equipment, not having to buy big cameras and things like that. Can you talk to us a little bit about your live streaming equipment outside of your devices and sort of the pros and cons of some of the equipment that you use?
absolutely. So we have a basic studio light setup. So we have 2 to 3 studio lights that we normally run in the back. When I do smaller, and that's because we have multiple camera angles. So we have 2 iPod touches, and then we have a main camera, which is normally we have another iPad Pro that we use. But prior to the iPad Pro, we just used our phones to get to get the multi-angle views. And so that's our basic setup. We do have a mic that we plug into the adapter, the USB-C adapter. So we do have a mic that we use for that. And that's really about it. It was just I love Switcher because I'm an Apple girl, and it was just so easy to connect everything together. The devices, everything just talks to each other, and it makes creating the stream and setting things up super easy.
Well, and I think you're one of the few that I personally have kind of heard that are using iPod touches. So that's a good hint that you can also use an iPod touch. So
Yeah, it was great because I think when you are in service, you give up your phone. And in service, normally, we don't really have like Bibles. So if you give up your phone, and that was also, it was a great way to set things up. But for $200 to get an iPod Touch, it freed up everyone to not have to give up their phone, and we can still look up scriptures and monitor the stream and things like that.
Yeah,
so
great.
Yeah.
So I know as a creative director, you do a lot of work with the creative that you're showing during the stream around hymns and scripture. And I know that you use Proclaim, and I think there's quite a few people in our group that use Proclaim. Can you maybe give us some tips on using Switcher and Proclaim together?
Yes, so we run Proclaim from a MacBook Pro, but you can run it from any PC or Mac device. So that was really awesome that we were able to. We could easily connect the two. I think for us, one of the tips I would have, I found that with Proclaim, it is a little bit limited. I didn't purchase they have like a mega pack of different graphics, and we just opted not to do that. I do have a subscription with Church Motion Graphics as well as ShareFaith, and I know how to use Photoshop, but I like ShareFaith because you don't have to have a uh, Photoshop account. They actually have an option within that service where you can tweak slides. So one of the things I ran into, and Proclaim has made some great adjustments, but when your pastor says their sermon title is Walking on Water tomorrow, and all of the slides that you find in Proclaim, the title says walking, like there's such a big gap, like, right? So those other options allow us to really make some really great custom frames. It's all provided, they're all templates. We also have a wonderful graphics person on our team. Shout out to Graphic Girl and Alexis that also help put our graphics together for us on Sunday. So they also provide graphics, and it's so cool because you just slide it into ShareFaith, or slide it into Switcher, or you can slide it into your Sunday lineup through Proclaim.
Okay, that's great. So will you remind everybody again the name? It was ShareFaith, and what was the other one?
ShareFaith and Church Motion Graphics.
Church Motion Graphics. Okay, great. Yes. Is there a price associated with those? Or
there are. I don't know them off the top of my head, but we have annual subscriptions with them. So
okay, great. Okay, great. Well, anything that is sort of, we were going to open it up to audience Q&A. Unless anything else you want to make sure for anyone to know about.
Yes, I think it's important, and this is something that I learned. I think when you're a small church and you're trying to create a stream and you're out there, and we always look at other churches for inspiration, I think it's really important to stay in your lane. So when you see the TD Jakes or the Joel Osteens, like they have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment, lighting, setup, internet, all of that. I think you have to kind of step back and provide the best stream you can with what you can afford, and then gradually progress. And that's what we've done. And I think we've been really successful with being able to create streams. I mean, we just recently discovered the split screen, which is amazing. If you're not using the split screen, folks, and you're using Switcher when you do services, please check that option out. One of the things we run into is, when you put the scripture graphic up, and if your pastor's like mine, she wants to elaborate on the scripture. So you're taking the scripture down and then you're putting it back up, and you put it up too fast. And this eliminates all of that. Yeah, like that you have there. You can let them keep talking as much as they want and just pop up the new slides as you need to. So that's been amazing. I'm so excited that we're using that.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's great to bring in audience members that don't even have Switcher, don't have an iPhone.
Yes,
bring them into the stream as well. So
yes, exactly.
That's great. Well,
I do have some questions here from the comments, if that's okay. A couple talking about lighting. I think when you're talking about your setup, Will Gambeau, who's one of our interviews earlier in the week, hi Will, he was asking what lights you're using for your setup. And then Ernesto on our team, something we always like to do as well is learn from our users. Ernesto is saying what lights are you using right now, because your video chat setup looks amazing.
Thank you. I actually have 2 regular softbox lights. I did take the diffuser off, and Amazon, you can get, they're called splitters. So normally you only get 1 light socket on in your soft boxes. So this one we've split to 3. So I have 3 lights on each side, and I also have a ring light in front of me. And then we just have, this is just some white fabric that we have behind me.
She looks great.
Thank you, guys.
I see Margian here who says any troubleshooting tips you might have. Maybe if you run into an issue, if you've seen that before, how you've overcome those obstacles.
Yes, that's a great question. So often we'll find that sometimes if the feed freezes, everyone freaks out. So if you're the person behind the camera, you can't freak out. What I like to do is go in and I just start taking any camera views that I'm not immediately using. We just start taking things offline. So if I'm working with 4 or 5 cameras, I'll start taking cameras offline outside of my main camera. And within seconds, my main camera feed always pops right back up. I mean, you can always come up with a slide that says, experiencing technical difficulties, bear with us, or whatever you want to say, just to kind of give yourself a couple of minutes. But for us, I kind of just circulate, pick on the different camera angles until the internet comes back up. And it took us a minute to figure that out, but once we did, we've really been successful with getting the service back up with as many, with minor glitches.
That's a great tip, Kawan.
Yeah, I saw another question come in here, I think also from Will, as I was putting up a different comment here. What model of iPhone are you using for the main camera?
So today I'm actually using a Logitech. I think this is the 920 that I'm using for this video. Normally when I'm doing my regular feed, I either use a iPhone. I have an 11. I think this is an 11. No, it's the X Plus. Here it is. It's the
10
big
plus?
One.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, the big one.
Mm-hmm.
I use this, or I use an iPad Pro. My preference is the Pro. So whenever I'm doing services, I bring the Pro with me. And one other thing I wanted to mention, because I just thought about it, I think during COVID, we have to just be creative, right? We want to be able to social distance and we want to keep our safe, but we also want to give them the environment and the social connection, right? Where we can kind of see each other, even though I can't hug you and kiss you on the cheek as I may have. So one of the things that we've even talked about and explored is just being able to have church in the park. And so that allows a great opportunity to social distance, and you can still live stream it if you have cellular service. So it's a win-win.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, those are the main questions I was seeing in the comments. So thank you for answering those. I completely agree with you with troubleshooting. You can't panic. Maybe get a graphic up on screen or something. I mean, just yesterday for the live stream, we had a pretty big thunderstorm coming through when we were doing it. And the internet dropped out maybe 5 minutes before we went live, but didn't panic and everything was fine.
Yes.
Well, Kawan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your insights and sharing what you've learned with our subscribers.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share. And if I could invite everyone to follow us on Saturation Global on all platforms. We have an amazing pastor, Pastor Carla Randall, and she's awesome. We're so excited to be a part of her ministry. So we welcome you all to join us and view the service.
Great idea. Well, have a great weekend and thank you again.
Thank you. You guys take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.